Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Today I'm doing the controversial parenting tag. I thought this would be a fun way for you guys to get to know my parenting style. I'm not trying to shame parents out there who do things differently than me because I know there's so many different parenting styles. When it comes to some of these controversial things, it's really hard making decisions for your child because it's a lot of pressure. Obviously you want the best for your child and there's pros and cons to everything, and then you have people telling you different things of what you should and shouldn't do. So I just think that if you are doing what you truly think is best for your child, then you're doing awesome, because that's the only way you can be the best parent possible, is just by doing what you think is best for your child's health and well-being. I don't want to offend anyone. These are just my opinions and my views, and I'm going to try my best to keep it short. You might hear sound in the background because Cash is playing and whatnot. Alright, let's get started on the questions. I am pro-choice. You never know the circumstances and the things that someone is going through. They could be going through something really, really rough. I might disagree with someone getting an abortion, but it's not my place to decide whether they do that or not. I personally couldn't get an abortion. In my opinion, there are some circumstances where I think it isn't okay. If you make a simple mistake and you get pregnant and you know you can't have the baby, or if you were sexually abused or something like that, when it comes to something like that, I totally would not judge anyone for getting an abortion. If it were a situation where like someone is just being careless and they've had multiple abortions because they keep getting pregnant and they know they're not prepared to have a baby, yet they have multiple abortions because they're not taking any form to prevent it from happening, I do think that's kind of sad, but that's just my opinion. But obviously I'm pro-choice because I have no control over what someone does with their body. But that's I think baby wearing is awesome. It was extremely helpful when Cash was a newborn and throughout about the first year, because you can get tasks done and run errands and whatnot with them in the carrier. From my experience, it makes everything easier. Use the ergo. Cash is getting a bit heavy, but I still use the ergo a lot. It does put some pressure on my back, but I mainly use it for when I'm at work because I bring him to work with me, so that's how he takes his naps. I am completely against circumcision. I personally think it is pointless torture. I know some people do it because they think it avoids infections and whatnot, but as long as you teach your child to clean themselves properly once they are old enough to start cleaning themselves, then there's nothing to worry about. And if you don't teach your kid that cleanliness is important, then that's on you. You should have no issues with them getting an infection as long as they know how to clean themselves and they take showers. A lot of people say that they're not going to remember the pain, but there are studies out there that even though they don't remember the experience, the trauma at such a young age and the extreme pain does affect their brain. I would not be able to handle seeing my son go through that kind of pain. I just think it's cosmetic and it's just for looks, and I'm against it. I did consider giving Cash up for adoption when I first found out I was pregnant, because it's very important to take a lot of time to consider all your options if you become pregnant at a very young age like I did. Obviously, I knew I couldn't emotionally handle growing a baby in my stomach and then giving it away to someone else. But if you would rather give your baby up for adoption than get an abortion, I think you should totally go for it. That's a great thing. But I think adopting kids is also a great option if you can't have your own, or if you just want to help kids out there who need a home. I think adoption is amazing, and I think someday if I were able to financially be capable of adopting, I think that would be awesome. So I don't see anything wrong with giving your child up for adoption or adopting yourself. So I got my ears pierced when I was a baby, and I know a lot of people do it. I know it's just a tiny, tiny little pinch, but I don't see the point in piercing my baby's ears just for it to look cute. Even though it's a tiny amount of pain, I don't see the point in that. So I would wait till my child is about 5 or 6 for them to decide that they want to get their ears pierced. I do think breast is best because it is. Breast milk is what is best for the baby. But I understand there are a lot of moms who can't produce enough breast milk for their child. I'm not saying you're a bad mom if you formula feed your child because you can't produce any milk. If you can't produce breast milk, I would highly suggest, if you can afford it, you can buy breast milk from a milk bank, I believe, but I do know it's pretty expensive. So if you can't afford it, there are tons of moms out there who overproduce and they donate their milk to moms who can't produce enough milk. So I highly suggest reaching out and trying to find breast milk donations before you decide to go to formula. So I don't agree with the cried out method when the baby is a newborn and an infant. Newborns cry because that's the only way they can communicate that they need something. You're so silly. So newborns cry because that's the only way they can communicate. But now that Cash is a year and a half old, he somewhat knows how to communicate. I don't react to him when he's throwing tantrums because I don't want him to think he can get attention from me when he acts like that. So from my experience, spanking isn't an effective form of discipline. We've spanked him a couple times because, we're new parents, we're trying to figure out what works, and I've learned that spanking and hitting does not work. He just gets more angry, and he usually hits me back. And he will start hitting me when he's angry, which is not okay. And if he hits me, I'm not going to hit him back because then he's just going to think it's okay to continue doing, I just think it teaches them how to be violent. I'm still trying to figure out an effective way to somewhat discipline him when he's being bad and get him to understand that something's not okay. So I'm having a difficult time with that right now. I think co-sleeping is awesome. I know some people think co-sleeping is unsafe because you might smother them or they might get smothered in their sleep. But personally, with my experience, I think co-sleeping is safer because once I became a mom, those motherly instincts kind of kicked in and I've become very aware of my surroundings and my sleep. So I'll be sleeping, yet I'm very aware of any movement he makes or any sounds. I'm a very light sleeper now. I'm not worried about him getting smothered or anything like that in his sleep. If he were in a crib in a different room than me, I wouldn't be able to know if something bad was happening. And it's easier because if you breastfeed or if you bottle feed, you don't have to get up in the middle of the night when the baby gets hungry and walk to their crib, pick them up, feed them, put them to sleep, and then put them back in the crib. If you co-sleep, all you have to do is roll over and give them the boob. You could go back to sleep easily. His father and we both had bad experiences with public school. I think homeschooling is a great option because the child doesn't have to be pressured. They get to go at their own pace, and there are a lot more options when it comes to the way you teach them and things they can do. A lot of people think that they don't get the interaction with other kids that they need and they become a very introverted person, but that's not true. There's so many classes you could put them in with other kids. Like my niece, she used to be in an outdoors class where they learn survival skills and outdoor stuff, and they go hiking all the time and learn about animals. You could put your child in music classes, dance classes, sports. There's so many options. I just see a lot more plus sides to homeschooling. Cash is not vaccinated. I am neither pro-vax or anti-vax because I think there are pros and cons to both sides, and I think the parent has every right to decide whether or not they're going to vaccinate their child. But I personally have not done the proper research to form my own opinion on this subject. Cash is not vaccinated because his father and some of his family members are against vaccination. So I was afraid of disagreeing with them. I know I need to do some research and figure out what I think is best. This is just a really hard choice to make as a parent. I know someone personally who has gotten very, very ill from a vaccination. They were sick for months in very, very bad condition. So that's scary, knowing that's a possibility, but then it's also really scary knowing that if I don't get him vaccinated, that he can get very, very sick, and then he can get some other child very, very sick. So it's just a really hard decision to make, and I still need time to think on it. If I'm in a situation where I end up needing to put him into daycare, or when it's time that he starts school and we can't homeschool him, then he's just gonna have to get vaccinated anyways because those are the rules. But obviously if we don't get him vaccinated, he's gonna be homeschooled. We've given him children's Tylenol a couple times. One of those times being when he got hand, foot, mouth disease because he was in a lot of pain. He had a really bad fever. And we've given it to him a couple times as well when he was teething and he was just in a lot of pain in the middle of the night and we weren't getting any sleep. So I'm not super against medication, but I do prefer to go the more natural way. I wish I used cloth diapers for Cash, but I didn't. I know it's a lot better for the environment. For any future children, I want to try using cloth diapers. They are a lot of work, but they're way better for the environment, so it's worth it to at least try using cloth diapers. Props to any mom who uses cloth diapers because I know it's a very high maintenance thing to do, and I would like to try it sometime in the future. There's absolutely no reason to buy baby food from the store for your child, and you don't even need to make baby food. You don't need to puree food. A lot of moms start giving their child baby food at a very young age, and you're not really supposed to introduce your child to solid food until 6 months. A lot of the times, babies aren't even ready for solid food at 6 months. He wasn't. And there's no reason to puree your food. The best thing to do is that give them foods like sweet potato, steamed carrots, avocado, or banana. So soft foods, but you don't need to puree them. My midwife told me that a baby is ready for solid foods when they don't gag while eating it and when they can pick the food up on their own with their 2 fingers. So giving them just like sliced up sweet potatoes or banana or anything like that is much better for their motor skills as well as getting used to textured foods. Because if you just start them out with pureed foods, once you start giving them textured foods, it's going to be a bit harder for them to get used to it. So there's no reason for pureed foods at all. Just give them normal fruits and veggies. But just obviously start off with soft foods. We tried giving him sweet potatoes once he turned 6 months, but he couldn't pick it up on his own. He was not ready. We tried every couple weeks, and eventually he started eating solid foods. Alright guys, woo! That finishes up today's video. Woo! I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope I didn't offend anyone. I'll see you next time. Bye! Say bye! 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 Okay, fine.